higher. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, we got about 3 minutes. I have to put an automatic timer so that it's down. Yeah, well, I want to make it so I cannot turn it back on again until at least 5 o'clock. Because I, like, Lord of mercy, it was 2:30 when I racked out last night. Ugh. What kind of bees give milk? Oh, are you ready?
Ready.
Well, as they say, ready or not, here we come. Let me be the first to wish y'all a happy Friday Eve.
Yes.
Now, this week, it's special
Very.
because it's known as the eve of Good Friday.
That's right.
Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Chris Marks.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
And Chris is sitting in. Kelly had a quick run she's got to make this morning. So anyway, she should be close to her destination by now.
I hope she left early enough.
Well, I volunteered to give her a call this morning at 4 o'clock to wake her up, but she
Didn't work.
didn't send me a note.
She didn't respond, did she?
No, she didn't respond. She probably looked at that and said, whatever. Hard to imagine that we finally, we're reaching the last half of April.
Yeah.
It's gone
Good God.
fast.
April, a month that usually brings lots of good stuff, good weather for one thing.
Mhm.
We haven't had a whole lot of that, have we, the first half of April?
No.
A few showers. We haven't had that. We had a couple of stormy showers, but that wasn't what I was looking for. Warmer temperatures.
Yes.
We had a little bit of that, then it went away. It's 40 degrees out here in the backyard right now, 38 degrees at the airport. In a couple of days, we'll be observing Easter in our own individual or collective ways. Some of us will be getting pretty high on Easter.
Candy high?
Taken
Sugar high?
to the friendly skies for a little getaway.
Oh.
That will be Kelly. Kelly will be up, and away on Easter. So, anywho. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful.
Hadn't seen you in 2 days.
I know.
Goodness
It
gracious.
was a quick one that day.
I got my tickets, and I got to figure out whether I'm going to do a third night in a row in the Blackstone.
Nice.
Last night it was hamburgers. I was in the mood for just a burger, a real burger.
Yes. I love just a nice homemade burger, just
And,
juicy.
I bought the patties already done yesterday. Not at a big box store, but at a grocery store because they're
Mhm.
fresh, right?
Yep.
And
Right.
they're done. They're right size. They're compacted right. They cook up just right. They don't shrink a lot, as you do when you sometimes get your own the hamburger meat or whatever.
Right.
You better make it bigger than the bun to begin with, because by the time you get through,
That's the truth.
either that or get smaller buns, one or the other. So anyway, I got these and these were ready to go, and it was good. Four patties. They're good. The two of them were. I'm
Good.
sure the other two will be good for lunchtime tomorrow or whenever.
Fire up that Blackstone.
But they at $10 for a package of 4
Oh, yeah.
burgers. Four
It's
burgers.
horrible. It's
Of course,
horrible.
when I thought about after while I was cooking, I said $10. This is $5 worth of burgers here on this grill. Two hamburgers and plus the other stuff we got. What does a burger cost you when you go to a store to get a big? I'm not talking about one of those 99-cent special
Oh, yeah.
things.
Mm-mm.
$8, $9.
Yeah.
Right.
$11 at a place that I went to one day, and I looked at it, and I walked to the door, one of these new places we have in town. I looked at the thing, and I said, "What do you mean $11.99?" No. Turned around, walked out. I could not eat a $12 burger.
When I get those, I go, in reality, Chris, you could have had a steak.
Yeah. You could go to the store and buy a steak if it was on sale and it wasn't too big.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And if you wait till it turns just like last day, they're going to sell it.
Yes.
A little
It's still
marble
good.
color.
It's aged.
Yeah.
Right.
The best steaks you could do is bring them home anyway and put them on the counter for a day.
A day.
Yeah, I'll take it out of the fridge, at noon or
Right.
something, and let them age,
Right.
wrapped up, but let
Right.
them age until that afternoon.
They get a little marmalized
Yes, they do.
and looks good.
They
Well,
taste,
I buy
taste
all
more better.
mine as Charlie when they're reduced down, and then I go home and I separate them, vacuum seal them, and throw them in the freezer. But they're thin and they're small.
I don't like those. I want
The thin
mine.
ones?
I know it.
I
Yeah.
want, I want
They're
thick
kind of
ones.
thin and small, but it's the
No,
only thing I can afford.
No,
Thick.
no.
Thick.
Got to have a thick steak.
Yeah.
I know.
Otherwise, you
That's what
cannot.
I want.
You
but
cannot cook a thin
I
steak.
am not paying $20 for a steak when I could go out to a restaurant and get a steak, potato, veggies, and iced tea for that.
You been lately?
Oh yeah, I wasn't that long ago. I took my granddaughter, and between the two of us, we got one small steak. Well, hers was a little bigger. A sweet potato, some steamed broccoli, the iced tea, and it was almost $60. I haven't been back to that
Hey,
place.
that sounds like West Coast prices.
Yeah.
Right, Charlie?
Yeah, what's it like in California, Charlie, going out and getting a burger?
So I'm going to ask you guys a question. It's funny that you guys are talking about cooking.
Yes.
So I just discovered something. If you have a charcoal, if you have a grill,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing better than taking like chicken or steak or I don't know what your favorite meat is and tossing it on that outdoor grill. But if you don't have an outdoor grill, I've discovered 3 different ways of cooking.
Okay.
And I think at my late stage in life, I just discovered the best skillet, a pan to cook on. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you think it's cast iron? Do you think it's ceramic? Or do you think it's stainless steel?
I like cast
Cast
iron.
It depends upon what you're cooking. What were you talking about? A piece of like a steak?
All right, so now you guys are trying to break it down. You want to make a fried egg. What are you going to throw it in?
Well, if it's going to be a steak, I'm going to cook it on cast iron. If
Yes.
it's going to be seafood, my wife gave me for Christmas a titanium frying pan,
Yes.
and I can control the temperature on that. Stuff doesn't stick to it, but I don't cook meat on there. I do shrimp and I do things like that, scallops. It cooks them just right and not too fast.
Okay, so that's your opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what the gentleman's opinion is. Yeah, let's just say you're going to cook an egg. Are you going to do cast iron? You're going to do ceramic or stainless steel? What's your go-to?
Teflon.
What is Teflon? Is that cast iron?
No, it's non-stick.
It's a non-stick component,
Non-stick
yeah.
pan.
All right, you know what? Okay,
Kinda
you
like
guys are going where I
ceramic.
thought we were going to go with this. Can I just tell you what I recently discovered?
Yes.
Ceramic. I have no clue how at this stage of my life I didn't discover ceramic. You put this puppy on medium high, you cook it for like 90 seconds, you throw a little bit of butter or ghee or whatever your favorite oil is, and then you put an egg, you put chicken on there, you put salmon on there. There's no grease splattering all over the place. No, I'm not going to fight you on this.
No. Hold on. I'm going to agree with you. I've got ceramic. I've got 2 ceramic pans that I use on a regular basis. I can scramble eggs in those ceramic pans, and it's like, holy moly. They're the bestest in the world when you do it that way. Non-stick, you're good to go with it. Anything of that order, I use that ceramic pan on a regular basis. I do grilled ham and cheese sandwiches in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't done chicken on there. If I want to cook chicken, is ceramic a quality pan choice?
Sure, I'd probably want to get it a little hotter than normal, so I could sear it first as you go along, sear it, then drop the heat a little bit to finish cooking it on the inside.
Charlie,
I just discovered it for the first time in my life.
It's good stuff.
I'm like, you know what? I don't like. I buy these non-stick pans, and like, I guess non-stick means, Charlie, you don't have to put butter. You don't have to put grease. You can just throw dry sand on there, and it's just going to lubricate itself, and it's going to come out perfect. Kind of BS. It doesn't work that way. Cast iron, I know that people talk about their great-great-great-grandparents where they inherited their cast iron skillet from 1,000 years ago, and this thing is in perfect condition. I call BS. I don't have no clue how to keep this thing clean. Okay. I'm going with ceramic going forward. That's Charlie's cooking tip of the day. Maybe I'll come back later. So I'm ceramic.
For Charlie, that's probably the great solution to his. I don't blame him. If I had one pan to do and it was me and me alone, I would probably stick to something close to that. Mm-hmm. And that, I got that Blackstone now, so don't get between me and the Blackstone. Oh Lord, it's good. It's good. It cooks so good. The 2 nights in a row that I've used it, and what I've watched my daughter cook. Oh Lord!
Oh, she's becoming a master.
She is a master chef.
Yes.
Master Blackstoner.
Yes.
Can we call her a stoner now? I got stuck last night again trying to finish. Well, I had to have a piece of key lime pie last night. Mm-hmm. After Robbie went to bed, I got up, cut a slice of pie. She doesn't like them, doesn't like pies, doesn't like cakes either. But I did that. And that kept me up a little bit longer than normal.
Right.
Well, about an hour, because I didn't go to bed until 2:30. But anyway, when I was eating that, I got stuck on a YouTube, and it had a story about a guy. It's up in Rhode Island. Let me pull up the information because I sent myself a little bit of the information so I would remember it. He's a state senator. His name is Joshua Miller. Back in June of 2023, he had his pick-em-up truck in a shopping mall, and he was parked there, and he finally admitted, which when he was confronted by the popo, he denied everything. He finally admitted that, he got out of his car after they found the video on surveillance video of it. He got out of his truck and walked beside this car that had a bumper sticker on the window. It said, Biden sucks.
I remember this story.
This guy's a state senator. He keyed the car. Bad. Ooh, a nice car. And the people saw him walking by their cars. They were coming back to it or something, and they did not know him. He said, when he got out of his truck, he said, they said, "Hey, Miller, what you going to do about this?" Well, no, they apparently did not. Caught on video, they weren't, he was. Mm-hmm. And he claimed to the police that he felt threatened. He said the boys looked a little bit like some of the gun nuts that he's run into in Rhode Island simply because he's a Democrat. They always approach him and attack him. Well, they arrested him. They went back to his house later that night after they had a chance to look at the video and see exactly what was going down.
Stupid.
They said they were going to come and talk to him about it afterwards. And he went back after dark. House only had one light on inside that I could see when they approached, but they had 3 of them there just in case he decided to do stupid. And he didn't. He hadn't told his wife anything about it, though. And, of course, they said, "You're going to have to come downtown with us, or we can take you downtown. It's your choice." He said, no, I'll go. He said, well, we get your keys and get some shoes on. So one of the officers said, I've got to go in there with you while you do this. They don't want him coming out or running out the back door.
Right.
It's a standard opera. I don't care if he's a state senator. He's a perp at that time.
That point,
Okay, that does not matter. So they went
Chris.
inside, and the officer went inside, and he took forever. They told him how much the bond was likely to be. So he's got his checkbook. He said, no, sir, they only accept cash, or somebody had to bring you some cash to get you out of jail tonight.
Chris, could you picture watching that on video and hearing Carrie Underwood's song, I dug my key into the side of his pretty little souped up 4-wheel drive? Could you just hear that playing in the background to the video now? That's the first thing I thought of.
Well, they took him outside, and
Took him
they started to
outside.
handcuff him. And this is a young officer, and he said, no, he's going to drive down. He said, okay, so misdemeanor. So we'll follow him.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, we will lead him, and another car will follow him. So they had him in a convoy going downtown. So that was the last of that. But I don't know what the final result was on his case. But in 2023, Mr. State Senator Joshua Miller got arrested.
Oh.
And I don't even remember anything there. He said it was the only reason these people ever confronted him is because he's a Democrat. And now, I want you to picture right now, pick 18 to 22-year-old people in Onslow County, 2 guys, right? Just pick
Okay.
any
Got
2
it.
of them and ask them who the state senator is.
Good luck.
Yes.
You'll be lucky if they know who the governor is, really.
Yeah.
I agree.
Most will know who Trump is because of all the publicity, but
Sure.
they didn't call him anything. They didn't say a word to him. They didn't know him from Adam, and they didn't care. He scratched their car.
I'd be mad if somebody. That's why I
Well,
won't
they
put anything
were pretty
political.
calm, cool, and collected. They just
Yeah.
dialed 911. They sent an officer over, and happened to be the officer confronted the guy. He saw him. He saw the car, the description that the guys gave him, and so he stopped him. And when the two other officers, because he was in total denial and how dare you type thing, not belligerent, but no, these guys, they're just 2 teenagers or whatever. And they did this because they knew who I was. They hollered, "Hey, Miller, what you going to do about this?" No, they didn't.
Well, do you think it's fair that they said that if he does not commit any more crimes this year, that his record will be expunged?
It's standard procedure.
I just think it's
unfortunately.
wrong. It should stay there.
Well, they would do it for any other citizen. Why not do it for him? It's a misdemeanor.
That's a bad scratch. Look at that, Chris. Holy moly. He did go Carrie Underwood on that thing.
Have you ever had your vehicle, one of your vehicles keyed?
No.
Okay,
No.
I have.
Oh, what'd you do?
It was a
Was that
brand
by
new.
Kathy?
No,
Kathy
I
did it?
didn't.
Your wife did it?
Didn't know. It wasn't Kathy. It wasn't Stephanie.
Rayford.
I had to throw that.
Chris.
But I'm sorry, I had it. That's still a funny story. But no, I was working at a nightclub and had a brand new Fiero,
Okay.
and an angry former friend girl, her new boyfriend,
Another Carrie
to
Underwood.
decided to key it and did it while I
Why?
was. Because she didn't like that we weren't dating anymore. I guess I don't know. She just they keyed it, and I knew it, and nothing could be done because there was no cameras back in those days.
Yeah.
Did she carve her name into your leather seats?
No, but I got it was the second Fiero
Oh my
ever
gosh.
sold in Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
my.
first one keyed. So
Did you slash a hole in all 4 tires?
no, later on they took a bottle of 7-Up and poured it.
Oh,
on.
man.
Children will be
Well,
children.
Chris
in
Chris
India.
has got a side to him.
No,
we
no,
had no
Chris
clue.
Chris was the good side.
No, it's the women are fighting over you and
doesn't.
keying the car. Gosh. Driving a Ferrari,
No,
working at a nightclub. Man.
well,
Oh,
you,
okay.
you remember the radio days?
Yeah.
You had to work a second job.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, down in Florida, you know how they paid you? In sunshine. You got a pittance, and you and three other jocks could live in the same apartment. And it was basically hot racking.
Yeah.
And then you always try to find roommates that you could work around the clock with, because some of them went a midnight shift. So it's not everybody was in the same apartment, the little tiny one room or two bedroom apartment at the same time, in other words. But yeah, that's how they paid you in Florida. In sunshine. We got sunshine down here. Come on down. Yeah, right.
Oh, yes.
You know how long it takes for that to run out? When it gets wintertime. There's not that much sunshine to make up for it.
I did see a lot of the snowbirds going back up north as I was coming back from Florida a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all had their trailers all packed up, headed home.
Yeah. Back my Sarasota days, we always picked out, I picked out the worst drivers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They were from Indiana. And I can narrow it down because they had a prefix on the Indiana tags in those days, generally a 2-digit prefix for some of the major metro areas like Terre Haute. Terre Haute has a prefix of 84. I found that out. And I picked out the worst drivers in the world were from Terre Haute, Indiana. Oh God, I'm gonna go catch it now, right? But anyway, that's I observed it around the Sarasota area because they all like that area.
Wow.
Yeah.
My sister and I used to go to New York, to visit back and forth. And I always thought Pennsylvania were the worst drivers. New York was nothing compared to the ones in Pennsylvania.
The Sarasota area, the west coast of Florida, did not seem to have that same group as like the Pennsylvania and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably hit the eastern coast of Florida. I don't know. They hit somewhere else. Sarasota attracted the Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. Ohio was there, but that was a big.
How many of us, and I'm sure we've all done it, gone on a trip and we're driving and we're on interstate and somebody passes us driving foolishly. And the first thing we do is look at the license plate, go, oh, no wonder it's Ohio or something like that.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how often they do it to us. But yeah, it was always, gosh, no fooling. It's a California driver.
Yeah, there was a friend.
We all do it.
Hey, you're from North Carolina. We were together down there in Florida for a while. He said, "Oh yeah, that's where you got a lot of mules, isn't it?" That's all he knew about North Carolina, is that it was a place where everybody had a mule.
Mules. Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good imitation. Good sound effect.
Good sound effect. Okay.
Good sound effect. I say hey to Bob, by the way.
Bob
Onesius. I want to say good morning to Bob.
Okay. Good morning, Bob.
You want to narrow that Bob down a little bit?
Good morning, Bob.
A bunch of people saying good morning back, but not the right Bob, perhaps.
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
It's a good movie.
What about Bob?
What about Bob the movie?
Bob the movie.
I'm just going all over the place.
You did
Bob is
good,
the same
because
forward
usually
and
me
backwards.
doing that. So I'm like, what?
Look at the offshore marine forecast today. High pressure is going to remain in control of our weather for the next day or so. The next cold front may approach the area this weekend or early next week. When are you going to stop having cold fronts in the summertime? It should be almost summer. Northeasterly winds today, 10 to 15 knots, becoming easterly this afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet, only about 4 seconds apart. It's okay. They're not big, but they're still close together. It mean it's going to be a lot of bump, 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 sounds and rivers, a moderate chop. Friday, how'd you like that sound effect? Southeasterly
that was
winds
good.
5 to 10 knots, becoming southerly 10 to 15 in the afternoon, seas 2 to 3 every 7 seconds, smoothing out just a little bit, not quite as close together. See, that's what you count on. What's what you look for, not just how big the seas are, 2 to 3 on both days. Today, 4 seconds apart. Tomorrow, 7 seconds apart. Got a little spread in between. It goes bump, bump, bump. Sounds and rivers, a light chop increasing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. Saturday, southwesterly winds 15 to 20, seas 3 to 4 feet, a little bit bigger. Sounds and rivers choppy.
Okay, I don't know if I can follow that or not, but I'm going to try.
Bump, bump.
Today, sunny with a high near 75, north wind around 6 miles per hour, becoming calm in the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 49. Friday, sunny with a high near 78, and Saturday, sunny with a high near 82.
What's Saturday night? Dark and what?
Saturday night, it is a low
It'll be dark. I don't care what's.
54.
Looking across the news boards, I did a chance to look at that yesterday and last night. Doesn't seem like a lot of our political leaders are looking too Christian-like these days. Events from the swamp are just more of the same bureaucratic nonsense. So many of those leaders go home worn out from all the work they lay claim to. The discussion of work came up during my 5th and 6th grades in school. I remember way back when. My teacher posed the question: if you push against a very large tree with all your might, you break a sweat. You do this for an hour or more. You get dog tired after a few hours. Did you work hard at that?
Charlie.
Did you work hard at that? The definition of work is interesting. It's an activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. Second part of that definition comes to mind when I hear those we have chosen to lead us talk about all the work they do. The work they do. The effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result is the definition of work. Applying that to our leaders, after a week of work, they go home. If they have not accomplished anything they say they were trying to achieve, does that actually meet the definition of work? Here's an assignment for anyone, all of y'all. Charlie, you too out there. For all of y'all, would like to do some research, then bring that research to us so we can actually discuss accomplishments versus work. Go back 2 years or so. Pick any time frame you want. Look at all of the proposed bills in the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. How many of those bills ever became laws? How many of those bills are still in limbo? What the legislators out there, our lawmakers, those we have elected, call in committee. I think the amount of work that is accomplished would make the average plumber, carpenter, electrician, most anyone whose income actually depends on what is accomplished, laugh their butts off. Do I have anyone who will take that challenge? 2 or 3 researchers would likely produce an interesting representation of the work actually happening in the swamp. My elementary teacher maintained that we could push all we wanted against that big old oak tree. But if our goal was to topple it, we failed. And therefore, we did no work. And supposed to get paid to put that tree on the ground, we would go home without a penny. People tell me I'm just spinning the wheels. That's what a lot of people say about it. Always interesting to see campaign biographical information that those who are running for re-election claim in their campaign propaganda. Every time you read these little placards that they will leave on your doors or wherever. Mm-hmm. Congressman Jeremiah Malarkey Bullfrog introduced 84 pieces of legislation during the last session. That's how hard he's working, the campaign literature says. That's why he needs your support to make sure his work continues as a hardworking legislator in the U.S. House of Representatives. You might find, if you look closely at certain members of Congress, that they actually have succeeded in writing legislation that overwhelmingly passes the whole House. A few. Hot topics that might include congressional support to require sterile needles be used by all physicians. All in favor? Aye. See, I passed some legislation. Examine the quality and the significance of bills that are drawn up and actually those bills that get passed. After you wrap up your research, if you don't get stymied trying to actually locate the facts and pull your hair out, you might become as cynical as I am. Is this Charlie?
Yes.
Hey, Charlie, I'm back. You're back.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm calling about 2 things, but I want to touch base on your political message that you just reported on. You guys are familiar with the annual music event that's held in California called Coachella?
I'm not familiar with it. I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it is, honestly.
Something on that.
It's like this get together that's held over 2 long weekends. And it gets, all these famous artists. And you get, these privileged white kids that, hate Republicans, but they live in, $1 million homes and they went to the best schools and they're against everything. And they're usually between the ages of like 18 and 23. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I build it up, if I describe it appropriately. But anyway, Bernie Sanders appeared at the last festival 2 days ago. He's 83 years old. And he was preaching to these young kids, like I said, between ages 18 and 24, about how Donald Trump is a monster and how they need to, they're the voice of the future. And remember, these are, 90% white children that show up in Mercedes and Porsches, and they stay at the top hotels. And, they basically, they agree with them, even though they're absolute hypocrites.
And they probably have never voted.
Well, no. Listen, I'm fascinated by these individuals in our society, and I've seen so many examples of them. They grew up in very safe, gated communities. They went to the best schools. Many of them had housekeepers.
Yes.
Many of them have very privileged lives. Tutors.
They never rode a school bus.
The best of everything. Right. And they're still in their 20s, 25, 26, 27, and they're still living at home with mommy and daddy. And they're like, we've suffered so much.
Yeah.
They're basically useless. Do you have folks like that in your community?
Yes.
Yes.
And old cop told me one time, he says, for people like that, and I've thought about it many times since then. I thought he was just a mean old guy at the time, but he told me that he said, we need to punch these people in the nose. Every one of them needs to be punched in the nose one time, just so they can say they have seen the other side of life.
I was out at 18, and I had what most people on paper would say, Charlie, the life that you had, you should be in jail. You're probably a monster. Charlie's not a monster. He should be in jail. I'm just fascinated by these people that have had everything handed to them. They're like, we grew up in a really bad situation. My mommy and daddy used to fight. You have no idea how much pain I had to endure. You loser.
Here's a credit card. Go out and have some fun.
It's really amazing. But anyway, hey, did you guys see the Jeff Bezos, the Blue Origin?
Yeah.
You mean when the thing landed?
The girls.
He laid down on the ground.
I'm trying to find out that this is just a conspiracy, and it's just a bunch of MAGA people that are saying, there's no truth to this. But from what I've seen, they opened up the door from the inside, and then they shut it immediately. And I'm trying to find somewhere where it disproves it, where it says, Charlie, you need help. You have you've got a MAGA
I watched it.
Lee has followed this. I did not. I saw the results when they touched down after 10 minutes.
Oh, what do you mean they opened it up from the? Well, first of all, you have to open it up from the outside. You cannot open it up from the inside.
So
it has to be opened from the outside. They have a special tool that they have to put on the door, turn it, and then open it. And when they came back down to earth, Bezos was the one who actually went up and opened the door from the outside, and the ladies came out. It was
screaming.
The whole thing lasted maybe 10 to 15 minutes at the most, going up and coming back down. And they did nothing but scream the whole time, which I probably would have joined them. But it was nothing. It was
hold
just.
On. But there's actual video footage of them opening it from the inside and then them shutting it.
No. I don't know what that is, but I watched it live.
No. Listen, I'm not going to debate you, but you got to see it. Just go on YouTube. There's so many videos where it shows they actually opened it and then they shut it immediately.
So
there's a woman before Bezos. There's a woman that went to the door, and then it was open, and she immediately shut it. Right. And then they show Bezos coming up to the door, spending time trying to open it. Now, either the whole thing is just doctored and trying to, create. You got to see it. I'm not making this up.
I'll check it out.
Watched 15 videos.
Lee's our outer space expert. So we'll find out.
I watched so much of it.
Yeah. Well, they're not astronauts. They're space cadets. Trust me.
But Charlie, would you turn them now, since they went up and went into space, turned around and came back down, would you classify them as astronauts?
Listen, obviously they went up in an orbit and they floated around. Yeah,
they did not take it. They did not do an orbit. They did not do an orbit of the Earth. They went up.
Okay, listen, I'm not going to debate. Listen, they went up in space and they floated around. So I'm not sure what orbit means. Okay, but I'm not concerned about that. I want you to watch the video of when they landed, when they were on the ground. They were on the ground, and a woman walked up the stairs and the door was open, but then it was shut immediately. And then a couple minutes later, Bezos. No, I'm not saying it's like a conspiracy.
Right.
I think they went up there, but they're thinking, but it doesn't make any sense. Who cares? But you've got to watch the video.
I'll look for it, but
Yeah,
like I
they
said,
went up in space.
I watched
we'll
it
look for it.
live,
I mean,
and I saw it when it came back down, landed.
What was gained from these beautiful
The
women
experience.
going up there? Is it like an example for like little girls, like 6, 7, 8 years old, that now they can aspire to go to space and they can dream? Is that the purpose of this?
Well, that was the way they posted it was this was a celebrity group of women that went up. Jeff Bezos' fiance
Yes.
was one of the ladies that was up there.
Katy
Katy Perry, Gayle King.
People with
The
too
first-
much money.
Yeah, the first Vietnamese of either sex, of either gender, that went up in a spaceship, space rocket, whatever they want to call it. And then when they landed, celebrity people were there to watch them land. That's how it was portrayed. That's what it was. And I'd be happy to look and see about the door thing, but
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos was probably trying to
No,
get
you
it.
got to watch the door thing. Just watch the door thing. It
Okay.
doesn't make any sense. Who cares if they were able to open the door from within? But they clearly show a woman walking up the stairs. The door is open, and she shuts it, and she walks away. And then they show Jeff Bezos using a crowbar, struggling to get the door open. But you've got to see it. So unless the whole thing is doctrine, like, Charlie, listen, dude, it's all doctrine. It doesn't make any sense. But if you watch it, it doesn't make any
Charlie,
sense.
we will find out
Because
before the end of the
when
show.
the door was originally open, you would think they would say, come on out, y'all. Come on out, y'all.
We will have
They shut it immediately.
we will have the unedited version of the touchdown before the show's over. How's that? We will have looked at it.
Yeah, no, I want to hear what
Get it for you.
Okay.
Lee has to say. Yeah.
Yep. She's our
Yeah.
expert.
I'm going to watch it. No, I'm going to watch it. But you got to watch like a couple versions. It could be a conspiracy. You know how those MAGA people are. They get stuff in their head and like, Democrats, they're all blah, 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 blah.
Charlie, I will find the link. I watched it live, and none of that happened live while I was watching it. I will get the link and I will post it on YouTube for you.
Right. Just go to YouTube and type in Blue Origin landing, door opened on its own. Or
Okay.
something like that. There's so many
All right.
videos out there, but I don't even care. That's the beauty about it. But it's just bizarre. They show the door being opened, but then they shut it immediately.
Some
Like, who
people
cares?
some people have labeled those women, those individuals who were inside that vessel as astronauts. Some people like me call them space cadets, but in reality they were nothing but test dummies.
Listen, I don't know. Listen, if they wanted to do something, here's what I would have done if I was Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or who's the other guy, Bill Gates. I would have probably found like 2 or 3 young children between the ages of like 8 and 14 that are scientific geniuses, and I would have put them in that spacecraft.
That would be illegal and cruelty to children, and that
Yeah,
would
but
be
we all know it's illegal, but you got to break the law sometimes because these are future generational leaders.
speaking from experience, right?
No, I'm sure their parents will be okay with it. They're not going to be, no, this is child abuse. Yeah, I mean, if my child had an IQ of 150 or 160, I'm like, yeah, let my child go up into that spacecraft. Maybe they're going to develop something 20 years from now that's going to revolutionize, where we can just walk to Mars.
No, I just say,
Anyway,
how much you going to pay me to let me use my child?
Lee, if you can just like maybe pop up a couple videos and watch it.
Yeah, I will. And I'm looking at the video that you're talking about right now, and it was by The Sun, and it's a YouTube video, and it's saying viewers spotted a bizarre gaffe in the clip that sparked a slew of conspiracy theories and slammed the mission as fake. In the video, Jeff Bezos is seen wrenching open the hatch from outside to let all the women out of the craft. However, footage from just minutes earlier clearly shows the capsule door being opened from the inside and being hastily shut. And I'm telling you right now, that did not happen. And whoever the Sun is, I don't know.
The son of what?
It's the Sun,
Sun
S-U-N.
Oh,
It's a YouTube out here. It's a UK edition.
It's a tabloid.
Yes,
No, it's a tabloid.
Yeah.
right.
I like how you say, I like how you say, I don't know who the sun is, but I don't believe in the sun.
Yeah. It's
I like
talking
how you're
about wild
denouncing the
conspiracy
sun.
theories.
It's
I
like
watched
denouncing
it.
the National Enquirer. Nobody believes in the National Enquirer.
And look, I watched
Anyway,
it on the YouTube station, the Launch Pad, that does all space flights, rockets, everything. And also, I had it on another television set, and it was space. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it. I'm going to give it to you, though. I'm going to send it to you.
Let me ask you guys this.
Right.
A quick change. A quick subject change. What do you think about Trump? I think he said no more funding for NPR or PBS. What are your thoughts on that?
Why are we funding them?
You're talking to a professional broadcaster from decades ago, and two of us, in
Right.
fact. So I've got my personal viewpoints, but Lee, you have any thoughts about?
I'm like, why are we funding
Yay or
these?
nay? Do you fund them?
Nay, I don't want them. I don't want us. I don't want to pay for their bills. Let them sell advertising like real broadcasters do to support their habits.
And you know what's going to be great? Is once they start selling broadcast and advertising, their true colors are going to shine.
Absolutely.
They're going to be absolutely everything hatred towards Trump and any sort of Republican. They're going to, you know what? That's what we've been saying for the last 50 years. There's nothing unbiased about you. You're completely biased.
But Charlie,
It really is sad. When you
having,
watch CNN, when you see these people at the White House, it's like, what is your agenda?
well,
What's going on? Don't you just want to don't you want to, facts.
PBS is
I really
always,
don't get it.
well, Charlie, PBS is always, when they're doing their broadcast, they're always asking the viewers for money.
Absolutely.
Please send us, please send in
And they have
donations.
telethons.
Yeah,
Good
and
point.
we need the money to be able to continue to do what we do.
But who sends them? Who primarily sends them money? More Republicans or more Democrats?
Democrats.
I don't know
So
for a
then
fact.
how are they biased? It's like Harvard. I heard Harvard. Trump wants to cut like $90 million. I'm not sure the exact amount to Harvard for all their funding. Why are we giving these people money? Aren't they worth billions of dollars? These universities.
Yep. At least they should be, because that's what they charge the students to go to school there. God.
And just quick read.
Hey, guys, listen, I'm not going to make any more calls today, but I actually had a fun conversation. I had a question that I wanted to ask you guys, and it just clicked in my brain. Can I ask all three of you this question?
Yes, I
Sure.
guess. You got to ask one of us. I don't know about the
I
other
think
two.
no, I think all of you can answer this. How do I word this? Who's the most famous person you've ever met? I was going to ask at what age, but I'm curious.
Rayford.
Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Rayford.
Vince McMahon.
Who's the most famous person I've ever met?
So Vince McMahon, and
Yeah.
what about you, Rayford?
Well, let's see. I've met a couple presidents. I met a couple of presidents that were not quite presidents when I met them. They were vice presidents. I've met a lot of congressmen, but I'm going to go with Frank Sinatra.
Oh, Blue
Oh,
Eyes.
wow. Okay, so that's a quick story. Can you just tell it how that happened and where it happened?
What, Sinatra?
Yeah.
I was a photographer for an event that is an annual event in Wilmington for about 25 years. I was their official photographer, and he was performing, and I was backstage in his room for a long enough time. They allowed me to come in to shoot a couple of photographs, and I shot 7 frames, and I said, thank you very much. And Mrs. Sinatra said, you're finished already? And I said, yes, ma'am. I don't want to take up any of your time. I shook hands with Mr. Sinatra and Mrs. Sinatra, and I left.
Do you still have those photos?
Absolutely.
Are they anywhere online?
Nope.
Would you ever post them?
Nope. I posted some other photographs
All right.
I shot of Sinatra when he was performing that same evening, but those were back.
Hey, what about you, Lee? Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Oh my gosh. Right now, I can't think of who is the most famous. I've met a lot of country music stars because when I had an armed guard security company and they came to Onslow to perform, we were their bodyguard service.
Mm-hmm.
Did that with Michael Jordan one time when the UNC basketball team came. So I know a lot of country. I've met a lot of country music stars, and I've met a lot of politicians like Jim Jordan.
Me too.
You
I interviewed
know,
him.
Of course, Walter Jones. We all loved Walter, and so I know a few congressmen, a few senators, and of course Greg Murphy, who was our congressman, U.S. congressman. But as far as the most famous, I don't know. I think my biggest experience was Tammy Wynette. Probably. Oh, and Conway Twitty. Conway
Was Tammy
Twitty.
Wynette married to George Jones or Glenn Campbell? Who was that girl married to Glenn Campbell?
Oh, Glenn
Mrs. Campbell.
What was that lady's name? She was an alcoholic. She was all over the place. Tammy Wynette.
Oh,
Did you say Tammy Wynette?
no. I know who you're talking about.
What?
No,
Tanya
One of
Tucker.
the most famous.
Tanya Tucker.
Yeah,
Tanya
I met
Tucker.
Tucker
Yeah.
was in L.A. I met her once. She was all over the place. The first celebrity I ever
Tanya
met,
Tucker.
want to know?
Who?
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Oh, wow.
I met him in an elevator in St. Louis, Missouri.
Did he sing for you? Did he do any
I had
elevator
no clue who
music?
he was. I had no clue who he was. Somebody just said that's Engelbert Humperdinck. But then I moved to L.A. and pretty much every idiot celebrity you can imagine I've met.
I was ready to say, I need to change my answers, by the way. I need to change my answer.
Okay, you change your answer.
Yeah, because I was thinking most famous. I think Ric Flair is more famous than Vince McMahon and Rick.
Ooh, yes.
Well, I saw him in the worst of conditions one night.
I know you did. Yeah. I've seen him in a lot of worse conditions than that, but he was.
I'm sure you did. Well, I don't know. You're laying on the ground being worked on after a plane crash, and because you were in the plane crash, that was pretty bad conditions for Mr. Flair and the three other wrestlers.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, the big WrestleMania this weekend, Charlie. Saturday and Sunday night, 8 hours a night.
Don't miss it, Charlie.
16 hours of it, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Charlie's just a stone throw from you. It's in Vegas.
I know it. Charlie's in Vegas this year.
Charlie and I won't be in Vegas this year.
Oh, I'll be watching. It's fun. It's entertainment.
Good for y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, first of all, I will say this about professional wrestlers compared to football players, baseball players, hockey players, swimmers, basketball players. They, hands down, golfers, they are the most athletic. The beating that they take to their bodies, people say, oh, it's fake. Look at the hell that they put their bodies through.
Yeah, they do.
They are
They do.
magnificent athletes. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what they do to their bodies, and the way they get just thrown around and how they land on their necks, their heads, their arms, their shoulders. And people are like, oh, it's fake. I'm like, yeah, you get in the ring with that. You try that. These are artists. I mean, listen, I've been around wrestlers. I know whatever, who, doesn't matter. But the beating they take to their bodies, I mean, it's just the women too, like the women wrestlers. You try climbing up a rope in the ring and then getting thrown off and landing on your back without like landing on your head or landing on your neck and twisting your neck. You think about getting picked up. Someone lifts you up over their shoulders and they throw you to the ground. And if you don't land properly and you land like on your head, you're paralyzed for life. Mm-hmm. These are great athletes, I think. Am I wrong? Or
no, they're good. They're very talented and very athletic individuals who put on awesome shows. If you're into that, cool. Let me just put it this way. It is a lot different now than it was back in the 70s. I'll put it that way. It's a lot more showmanship now.
Yeah, I just went past it.
Yeah.
Not watching.
I don't know, man. When I see the way these guys and the women, what they do to their bodies, I'm like, holy crap, that's a skill. All right.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'm done.
All right, Charlie. Take care.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I just watched it all over
again. Did you ever see any of the roller derby women?
Oh, my goodness. You meant when it used to be on TV?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
They do that whip around
in person, and I know.
Ooh.
No.
Did
no.
you see that one hockey game last week? It was the American Hockey League where that player mowed down the referee.
Yeah, got a 10-game suspension.
10
for
game.
it.
But and there was commentators saying, I don't think it was intentional. To look at the video, it looked intentional, but yet I would have to be there on the floor and see it from the eyes of the guy that did it. He could have just in his mind thought it was another player. But this hockey player come on ice, come flying up and just out of nowhere, just come up, smack the referee and send him flying into
got a
wall.
lot of publicity out of it. Okay, come on.
A 10-game suspension.
That's publicity.
Oh,
Okay, you've looked at this video of the
watched it,
space cadets coming down, right?
Yes, I've watched it. In fact, I had it up here. Let me
So
get
let's
it up
just
right
tell me how this thing is coming down to Earth. It's coming back. It's going to land on firm ground, right? It landed on firm ground.
In the sand in the desert.
And you were watching this
I was
live,
watching this.
and you're seeing as live right now,
right.
just a replay.
And people, they had to wait for people to come in trucks and stuff like that. So they sat inside the capsule. The people came.
So it was not a predetermined exact location where it was going to land?
Oh, no,
No,
they
it is.
have a specific location.
Well, then why weren't the people already there waiting?
Because they stay away. I mean, they don't have a
Wow.
big X in the sand and say land here. They know it's going to land right in that area.
Oh,
So
okay.
they sit back, they wait for it to land, and then they converge. And the first thing they do is they have several guys and a woman too that eventually will go up to it, and they'll look in the windows and they'll check the outer of it. They'll make sure everything appears to be okay.
Uh-huh.
Then they go and they get a set of steps that they put up against the door. So when the ladies come out, because the door is probably 3-4 feet up
Yeah.
off the ground.
Yeah.
What is
It's
this
a
little
hatch
ladder
door.
up there?
So they have these steps, and it shows this woman standing on one side. She's with the
Privileged.
company, and it shows Jeff Bezos, and it shows he's got the wrench in his hand. And then as it gets closer, let me see if I can just go up a little bit right here. Yeah, he's getting ready to. What it did, it blacked out for like a millimeter of a second.
Yeah.
The video did, and then it shows him up at the door. He takes a wrench.
You sure
He
that
puts it
wasn't
in
an
there.
edit?
He takes.
Never.
This is what I watched live,
Okay.
and
Did it black out when it was live?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I mean, it all through it. But he pushes the door open. The first one off was his fiance.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because he's
Yes.
standing there with his arms open, waiting
Yes.
for her to get
Yes.
the hug, and then to
Maybe he was waiting for somebody else.
The second-
to be first.
Look, the second person out was Katy Perry, and she holds
Yeah.
her little daisy up to the sky, and she kisses it. Then she gets down, she
What-
bends down,
what-
gets on her
what,
knees,
her
and
daisy?
kisses the ground.
it's for her daughter named Daisy.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
the part I don't understand is why she's kissed the ground.
I would kiss the ground too if I'd been up in space, come back down. You ever ride a golf cart with my sister-in-law? First thing I do when I get off is kiss the
In a
ground.
driving test at
Just
the
kiss
police
it.
range one time, going through one of our classes, there was the instructor in the front seat with me and two guys in the back seat, right? And they had put foam on the fire department had sprayed the airport, some unused landings area there,
Mhm.
and that was our test area. And he says, the other guys are brand new. They'd never been through this course before. I had. He said, I want you to lock it up. Get up to some speed and hit those brakes and turn the wheel and lock it up. Well, it go into a spin and it went round and round and round. The two guys in the back seat got out and they kissed the ground. That's why they kissed the ground.
Gail King got out and kissed the ground too. That's a lot. That's a lot of dirt.
I just, I'm sorry. They paid for the trip. They knew what they were doing. They were going up. They floated in space. They came down. They landed.
They lived.
They lived. Well, I don't.
How much?
I-
What did they accomplish? So therefore, there was no work done.
they got more fame.
Well, the
And
thing
they're
about it
used
is, Rayford,
2
I don't
days
know.
off.
If-
I forget it.
if you weren't afraid, you may not be, but if you had the opportunity to actually do this, fly up, go into space, turn around and come back just for the thrill of it, would you do it?
I would.
I would too.
I
I'd
would.
rather go to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, you've
Right.
been there though.
I'm just
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd rather go back.
I would love to do it, but I don't have $2 million or whatever it costs.
Okay, we're going to GoFundMe account for the next trip for Chris to go up. You're going to take a walkie-talkie so you can talk to me live.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
telephones won't work, but I can get you a radio that will work all the way there. Come back down to that radio over there.
I will give you play-by-play
There you
floating
go.
in the air.
Do you ever notice though that somebody's always got a conspiracy theory? I'm not saying Charlie. I'm saying some like this
Well,
son.
somebody created that
Right.
as a mock
Right.
video. Okay.
But why is somebody always wanting to ruin everything? Why?
Well, why not?
God.
Well, I mean, don't take what I said wrong.
It's
I wasn't
comedy.
crazy about
Oh no.
them kissing the ground. I just don't understand why they, you know.
I've done that getting off the golf cart with my sister-in-law driving, so I understand. I understand completely about kissing the ground.
Is she listening?
And after my first flight on an airplane, if I probably would have done it too. But you know,
I gotta mention something I saw last night that was interesting. And you talk about starting things. There was this debate going on whether Republicans or Democrats, which ones are more
Nutty?
not maybe violent, but they were talking about Marjorie Greene having that open town hall, and one person got tased by two police officers. Got tased because he was fighting with them and was assaulting the officers.
I don't like the taser. That's that little stick over there behind the pickaxe handle. That works wonders. Especially around the kneecaps or the shoulders right here.
oh, it is not fun to get tased or maced.
But what they were talking about is that the Republicans have been noted as being the violent ones, and now the Democrats are.
That's because the Democrats are behind now. The Republicans are ahead. So the the Democrats are the bad people. And when it was reversed, it was the Republicans. Remember, the whole party was about to implode because Biden was president, and then we get a Republican president in there. And look what the Democratic Party is going through. They need to reestablish themselves, and it'll switch back and forth. I mean, politics is dirty nasty. That's all I got.
And you were the chairman for how many years of the Onslow County Republican Party?
Long enough. But you know what? We didn't have locally those type of issues. We had a great organization. We had packed meetings every month. We did a lot. We had a lot of politicians, elected officials come in for different.
But your that group is kind of they were exclusive.
Well,
Not one time was I allowed to be in there.
I would have let you in.
I would have been the test dummy to get whooped up on.
Yeah, I would have gotten whooped too. So
You think I would be walking into that? Oh, Lord of mercy.
But you know what? It's a party of it's a party of openness. And if you were unaffiliated and you were like, I'm thinking about considering switching my party to Republican, I would have let you come in and attend a meeting. You couldn't have said or done anything, but you could attend as a guest.
I think every person who's registered independent
Right.
is vulnerable to be changed to become a party
Exactly.
member, but they don't.
Right. Yeah. I tell you.
The group known as independents that they call unaffiliated officially is the group that has taken members away from both the Republicans and the Democrats.
It has since about 2021. The Republican Party in Onslow County has gone from being the top party to
Number
the
two.
middle party and the number 2 party.
You better be trying harder.
But but it's everywhere. It's just not Onslow County. But once Biden became president, and then the Republican Party sat back and like, we should have done this, we should have done that. And then there was so much division with people that were far right, people that were right, and people in the middle. And there was so much division that local parties all around the country started there was division in the parties. There was division at the
Dirty
meetings.
tricks here, dirty tricks
Yeah,
there.
and it was just like, and that's why with the last thing that happened with them getting on social media and putting out their social media policy, which you were allowed to say and not say, that's why I said, let's not go there. Like, if somebody posts something that's not appropriate or appealing, hide it. Go on. Let's not start this big mass fight over First Amendment rights. You're not going to win either side.
Nope.
No.
So
You know,
why even put it out
Since the Republicans are number 2, right?
there? Right.
They're number 2. But this is the perfect opportunity.
They're
for
like
them.
number 3 in the state.
This is the perfect opportunity for the Republicans here in Onslow
Right.
County. I can't speak for the state. Perfect opportunity to say, we are number 2.
Right.
Remember that rental car place?
Yeah.
That was number
Yes.
2. But we're going to try harder. We're trying harder to be number
Well,
1.
I just think there was so much division over the last 4 years. And
Who do we have?
this is Charlie again. And I'm not saying it's just locally, it was everywhere, everywhere. I've known staunch Republicans all my life that said, I'm done. And they re-registered as unaffiliated.
Yep.
I mean, I considered it a couple times,
Yeah.
particularly recently. but
Yesterday, day before.
I just said, you know what? It's just who I am. But I generally vote as an unaffiliated. I don't mark every single Republican box on the list if there may be.
You vote as an independent.
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, basically,
Unaffiliated can have no votes
you know what I meant.
designated to
Same thing.
themselves.
But anyway, I vote as Republican, but I have been known, like our wonderful district attorney for
Uh-huh.
many years, he was a Democrat.
Yes, he was.
I voted for him.
A lot of Republicans did.
A lot of Republicans
Charlie's
did.
back.
They won't admit it.
Hey, Chucky.
Hey guys, so listen, I wanted to maybe cross-reference what I said to Lee earlier about it being. First of all, I do believe that they went up in space, and they were floating around. But when they came back down, there's just footage where it shows the door opening up from inside. But I've got something else that I noticed.
Yes.
I'm going to say a couple names to you guys, and I think
Okay.
all of you guys are going to know these names. The first name I'm going to say is Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton. I'm going to say Stephen Hawking. I'm going to say Carl Sagan. I'm going to say Galileo. If you had to say to yourself, Charlie, okay, what's your point? All of these people have one thing in common. What would you say these people have in common?
They were eggheads.
Okay. Okay, so Lee, or your guest, what would you say they have in common?
Inventors?
No.
Smart?
Well, I mean, they're astronomers.
I'll
They
tell you
have
what,
brilliant minds.
Chris says pioneers.
Right. So, do you know who was awaiting for the Blue Origin to land? Do you know which famous astronomers were there to welcome them? Do you know what intelligent minds, the future of humanity, was awaiting the return of these beautiful astronauts were? Do you guys have an idea?
None.
Not really, no.
Kim Kardashian's mom, Kris Jenner,
Yeah, she
and
was
her
there.
other daughter, Khloe Kardashian. These are
Oprah?
the minds.
This was not a trip to produce any, to uncover anything. This was a stunt. Let's all be clear about it. It's nothing but a stunt that garnished a lot of attention. Network TV coverage, live stuff here, all the hoopla building up to it. It's kind of like and I don't want to compare it to a car race, but in some cases there were people out there waiting for something bad to happen.
Mhm.
Duh. That was it. It's a stunt.
But don't you listen? Obviously, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, the owner, he's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. Don't you think that he's at a point in his life, or maybe he's just that
He's
consistent
bored.
nerd? So maybe he's that guy from age 8 or 9 or 10, 11 that still has not grown up and believes he's a man. But don't you think that he would want to achieve some sort of greatness, like to Elon Musk? But he's got these characters, these cartoon characters, that are representing his brand. What do you think he gets out of it?
Sometimes, Charlie, I so agree with you, it scares me.
But what happens with these artists, this rock and roll artist that went into space, who's got the IQ of not the smartest person in the world. She's got a nice voice, Katy Perry.
Mhm.
But what's gained?
Nothing.
This guy's almost a trillionaire. Is he trying to impress his wife, Lauren Sanchez? Have you seen her? Have you seen how? Okay, Jeff Bezos. He's kind of like a nerdish type guy. Very respectfully, I was thinking about women that are attracted to men with power, and if they didn't have the power, the women that would not be attracted to them. But Lauren Sanchez is not the most attractive woman in the world. My dear Lord, she's got 1,000 pounds of fine foundation on. She, women are beautiful at any age, but yeah, I don't know. She wears these revealing outfits. She's got to be 50 something. She shows her fake breasts. She shows her fake lips. I often wonder what other women think about that when they see another woman. Like men, a lot of men, they look at them like, yeah.
That's funny. She's got a billionaire.
She's what?
She's got a billionaire as a fiance, so she must not be doing it all wrong.
Let me ask you that. As a woman, when you see another woman advertising her assets at that age, showing off her body, what do you say? Do you say, go girl, hey, get what you got to get, or do you say this person is borderline retarded?
You got it, flaunt it.
Well, I'd say to each his own. I would just say that I was raised to be a little bit more demure and kind of respect my own being a little bit more by not flaunting stuff like that.
But again, who are we to judge?
But
who am I to
to each
judge?
his own.
Yeah, who am I to judge what they want to do?
You go out to the beach
No,
and
I'm
sit
just
one
asking
day.
what a woman. When a guy sees that, a guy's attracted to that. Here's the reality that I wish I would have learned if I would have had a mother or father growing up. Women are beautiful, blah, 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 but women are absolutely disgusting, and they're horrific, and they're horrible just like men. They're just as gross and disgusting. And I see these women, and they've got the massive amounts of makeup on. You're like, wow, very attractive, very beautiful. But without makeup on, if you see some of them up front, you're like,
Well, I'm actually blessed, Charlie.
Your wife is naturally
she does not need makeup. She wears it sometimes, but she's quite beautiful without makeup or with.
I'm in the same situation.
that's the best. That's the best. Like a good friend of mine, no makeup. Emily, I don't know what you look like. I mean, you seem like you've got when you see a woman with no makeup on, you're like, well, I was talking to my neighbor about women that have plastic surgery in Los Angeles. When you look at them and they're like 50 years old and they have plastic surgery, they look like circus freaks. They look worse with that plastic surgery. It's like, why did you do that? People are staring at you.
That's the reason, because they do. Some people do want people to stare at them. Some people have a problem, Charlie. Some people have a problem with their self assurance. They need somebody to reassure them that they are still worthy of being getting your attention. Some people are like that, men and women. Don't get me wrong, men do the same thing. Donald Trump's one of them.
Well, yeah, but I don't think men put that much look into their looks after a certain age.
No, I didn't even care when I was young. I still don't. It's the reason I'm like
you're
I
a nice
am.
looking guy.
Do what?
You got a good quality to you. I mean, I'm not attracted to you. Don't get the wrong idea.
Well, I hope not.
Actually, the guy in the middle, that's an in-shape guy. He's in, what's his name?
Chris.
Chris.
Chris is, you know what? Okay. Hey, Chris, you work out?
Yes.
I'm just curious. I don't want to get into, what's your typical work? How many push-ups can you do? I'm going to say 25, 30.
About 25, but I run a 5.
Holy crap. I can't do 4.
I run a 5K and I lift weights every night. So
yeah, this guy's in shape. Yeah. He's in shape. Well, have you always been like this?
Yes.
Have you always tried to maintain?
Yes, I've been an athlete.
So you don't drink or do drugs or anything like that, do you?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Look at you. You and I are very different. Very different.
No, Charlie. Let me go back to this. I had a
couple conversations with Kelly. No, I'm trying to change. I changed, but then I relapsed. I changed and I relapsed. Go ahead.
I will say this. 14 years ago, I gave up alcohol completely, and for a reason. And If you know anybody that wants to do it, I wish them the best, and I hope and I pray for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because early in my years of my life, yes, I did partake of the grape too much, and you know, now it's just different. So, yeah.
Hey, did you go to those classes, or did
No.
you just mentally say, "I'm done. I'm going to quit. I'm going to move on"?
I said I'm done. I'm moving on.
Yeah, listen, I have no reason to say this. You look healthy. You look strong. Yeah, you're a very motivational character. Do you have your own show, or do you just appear on this show?
I used to have my own show, and I consider myself part of this family.
He is part of this family.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, you guys are great. Yeah, I have no clue why you guys only have a couple of viewers. I call into shows where there's thousands of viewers, and they all hate me, and I love it because I want them to hate me. But I come to your show, and you guys only have a couple of viewers, and I just don't get it. You guys have the best show. It's a great, simple, smart, normal.
Right.
It's not about,
We appreciate it, Charlie, but we got to have to move on. But in my closing comment, you talked about how great and in shape that Chris looks. I'm in shape too. You just don't know it. What you got to realize, round is a shape. We got to go. We will talk.
I'm a fan of Chris. Let's keep him on. He's in good shape. Maybe I can learn something from him. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, round is a shape, isn't it?
Just something I want to throw out here real quick about the space flight. It said the exact cost of a trip into space with Bezos' company is still not confirmed. That being said, back in 2021, the company auctioned off a seat for a space flight for $28 million.
That probably paid the expenses.
To reserve a seat, customers must agree to a $150,000 deposit. Hey, if you've got $28 million and want to go take a fast trip into space and back,
Well,
you come out here, we'll launch you into space for less than that. Give me your $28 million.
We'll tie some rockets to your backside.
I can get enough rockets to send you up there.
let me say this about Jeff Bezos. I'm reaching out to his ex-wife because she's also worth billions now.
Stephanie know about this?
Yeah, actually, Stephanie does know about it. But I'm reaching out to her because
for the money for the reefs.
there you go.
That's where
She knew it.
We talked about that.
Yeah, she is a philanthropist, and what got me was when she donated $15 million to the.
Sell her some tickets while you're at it.
I think you should call Katy Perry.
Well, I'd actually here's my two things. My goal is to get hold of Mrs. Bezos and ask her to donate some money. She did $15 million to the YMCA in Charlotte.
$15 million wouldn't take care of the reefs for a long time.
Yes, it would. But then to get hold of Congressman Murphy because he sits on the VA committee up in D.C. to try to get and talk to them because it was interesting. I know locally, at least a news story mentioned that a congressman donated money for the local Y. And so I'm going to try to get them for the VA because they do donate money to situations like we're facing. And Lee knows what we're facing.
Right.
You know what we're facing.
Yep.
And
it's just there are more and more going to be added to this pile as the years go by.
Yeah.
Every year they add people.
Right.
We're adding 1,000 this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people keep dying.
They do. And it's not a bad thing that happens when we pass away. Well, I haven't passed away yet, but what we anticipate.
Can we rerun the video here?
What we anticipate to have, but I just go back to last year with 2,100 sites, grave sites without
it's
wreaths.
Heartbreaking.
And I just, for the life of me, don't understand why.
To have somebody call you and say and cry because their father's grave didn't get covered.
Yes.
It's hard. It really is.
It is. But
to that, I will ask a question.
Right.
Did they spend $17 for a wreath?
Yes.
They did.
The ones that I talked to, yes.
And their grave did not get covered?
They did not do grave specific.
Okay.
So
That might be a clue
Mm-hmm.
for the future, y'all.
Right.
And that's something that we publicize. As a matter of fact, before I left the house this morning to come here, thank you again for the offer, both of you, was I had a message from our region. So we have regions, and then we report to region and a national. And they said, be careful how you say wreath specific, because it does not go to the cemetery. And it's true, because, for example, Lee, you're going to, if you order for your father, like I do.
I do grave
It's
specific.
grave specific. It is sent to your house,
Mm-hmm.
and you have it in your possession, so that when you get to the cemetery,
Okay.
it's there.
That's what I have to do.
That's
Yeah,
what you
you
have
can
to
do
I
that.
need 2 of
I
'em.
always,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've never had a problem with doing
Mhm.
grave specific, but they don't put the grave specifics in one pile with your name
No.
on it. All the wreaths are piled together.
Now, what's special on what Wreaths on Our Fallen Veterans do, which is the group that Kathy and I created, is we make it branch specific. So that wreath is sent to your house. So your father, my father, God rest their souls, they were Marines.
Right.
Rayford, the 2 that you need.
One's Marine, one's sailor.
Okay. So for those, you would when it comes to your house in a box, it has that branch flag.
Okay.
And it has the American flag on it. And
Got it.
you carry that to that gravesite.
Got it.
That's right. When they ask for wreath specific or gravesite specific, it's still going to go shipped in the one big box with all the rest of them.
What they
But-
used to do too is if you ordered one for a specific grave,
Mhm.
normally what they would do is the day before the ceremony or a couple days before, they had a list of all those names. If you didn't put down that you wanted to do it yourself,
Right.
they had a list of all the names that were specific,
Mhm.
and they would go put them on the graves themselves.
Because I'm thinking of somebody
Before.
who's living in California would
Right.
like to have that wreath on the grave here. It's not going to be driving from California
No.
to here.
Right. I did that one year for some people from out of state. I said, send me your names. And after you buy your wreath, and I had a long list that I went out.
So, well, we need to make that available next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I had
This year.
the gentleman.
This year. Oh, God.
It's possible this year. I actually had a gentleman say, "Can you get me a wreath in Nevada? I want somebody." He has a friend there.
Mhm.
Sure.
I said, "Yeah, you get me the money, and I'll make sure it happens.
Right.
I'll do whatever it takes to make sure a
Right.
veteran is covered."
All right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we can make this national.
Yes.
Yay!
Hey. Do what we have to do.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well, and again,
You know, there are 4 locations, and they're not Americans, but they fought in World War II, just as we did, fighting the Germans and the Japanese.
Mhm.
But they're buried right here in North Carolina. They need a wreath each on those 4 graves. They washed up, their bodies washed up on the shores of Ocracoke. And there's a British cemetery on Ocracoke with those bodies there. That land is actually deeded to Great Britain. The Coast Guard takes care of that cemetery.
I did not thank you for that history lesson. I didn't know.
Yep.
Wow.
That might be a perfect thing to take 4 wreaths to. I mean, they're not Americans, but they're allies, and they fought right along with us.
You know, I
And
I
they were
would love
sailors.
every veteran in our surrounding area to have a wreath
Yep.
on their grave, and that's why we also picked up Onslow Memorial Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
Which,
there's 1,500 there.
I knew one.
Yeah. So and I didn't want to go off on that. I just just wanted to let people know that they can be grave specific and they can be branch specific.
Okay. We'll take care of that.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's take a quick look at the weather. The
Weather.
weather, whether you like it or not, we're going to give you some weather.
Mhm.
What?
Well, I'm waiting for the sound effects from you two.
I look at the offshore marine forecast today, which is the part that I do because being an old sailor at heart, an old fuddy-duddy. High pressure is going to stay in control of what we've got going on for a couple of days. And high pressure in here in the area on land, we all kind of know what it means. It means fair weather, right? On the ocean, High pressure can reduce the winds. High barometric pressure is what it is, and it calms the seas too. That's one of the big deals. That's one thing that sailors look for, fishermen, everybody who gets out there on the high seas. You understand what kind of weather systems impact your region. High pressure is going to be in control for a couple of days. We do have a cold front, maybe, if it develops, may form and cover this area maybe towards the end of the weekend or early next week. Today, northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots. They'll switch around to the east this afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet, about 4 seconds apart. Silence and rivers a moderate chop. If anybody's going out there and you're catching some fish, please let me know what they are. And if you got any leftovers,
Oh
we'll
man,
take them.
hitting them hard.
Friday, southeasterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southerly 10 to 15 in the afternoon, 2 to 3 footers every 7 seconds. Sounds and rivers, a light chop, increasing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. And on Saturday, southwesterly winds 15 to 20 with seas 3 to 4 feet, kick it up just a bit. Doable if your boat and you can handle it. Sounds and rivers choppy.
And today is sunny with a high near 75, north wind around 6 miles per hour, becoming calm in the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 49. Friday, sunny with a high near 78. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 60. And Saturday, beautiful sunny with a high near 82.
Got any new callers? People want to chat this morning? Now's your time. 910-333-0139. 910-333-0139. How about all that hoopla surrounding that one person, an illegal alien
Yes.
that was caught up in the administration's deportations, sent to that infamous prison unit down in El Salvador? Folks are screaming because the guy, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, was not on the original deportation list. They say the administration screwed up. They want him back. Some Democratic representative went down there and didn't get him either. The judicial folks, the media, a bunch of bleeding hearts fell for that story. True as it might have been interpreted, it's not the real and definitely not the whole story. First of all, Garcia remains a member of the notorious, vicious, violent MS-13 gang. He's been a member of it for a long time. That's not why he was sent there. That's why he was taken into custody. He would be going sooner or later. According to a Prince George's County, Maryland Police Department, on an interview sheet, local police discovered Abrego Garcia during a murder investigation. You ready? Police found him loitering in a Home Depot parking lot with other known MS-13 gangbangers in possession of illicit drugs back in 2019. An angel he ain't. The Prince George's County Gang Unit MS-13 Intelligence Squad conducted an interview with Abrego Garcia and contacted a past proven and reliable source, cops use sources, who identified him as an active member of MS-13 with the Westerns clique with the rank of Chiquero and the moniker of Chile. The 29-year-old Garcia was deported to a hardcore mega prison, the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador in March, along with several hundred other gangbangers living in the U.S. Though he was deported for being an MS-13 gang member, his attorneys maintain he was living in the U.S. legally and does not have any gang ties. Wrong. Last week, the Supreme Court upheld a lower court's decision ordering the Trump administration to arrange Garcia's return. This is when it's going to get funny. The court required the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. Supreme Court, you didn't get the full story. Sorry. The Trump administration agreed to clear any administrative obstacles keeping Garcia from returning to the U.S., but our girl, Attorney General Pam Bondi has said that returning him is, in her words, up to El Salvador. If they want to return him, that's not up to us.
I like what she said, too. She said every liberal journalist who
screwed up,
who called him a Maryland man that was deported wrong,
Democrats
should be apologizing.
Democrats and those members of the media they've been calling him simply the Maryland man who was wrongly deported.
Mhm.
No.
Well, he's also got public arrest records where he violently beat his wife on many
We're
occasions.
going to have that for you. Some have
Yeah.
suggested he was kidnapped by the Trump administration.
Oh
Senator
my
Chris
gosh.
Van Hollen, the Democrat from that wonderful state of Maryland, flew to El Salvador to visit Mr. Garcia in prison and work to secure his release. His trip has been criticized by many, including the mother of Rachel Morin, a 39-year-old Maryland mother who was raped and murdered by a Salvadoran illegal immigrant in 2023. To be clear, that killer was not Garcia. They got him in custody. To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more rights than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this. That's what the mother of this murdered victim said.
That was that mother.
Yes.
I'd be standing right there at the airport
I'm waiting to.
when
I would spit on
Senator
you.
Van Hollen.
We had Vietnam
Arrived.
heroes coming back to this
Right.
country
Mhm.
in the 70s and
Yep.
the 60s.
Right.
And they were spit on. I'd be
Yes.
standing there
Urinated
waiting
on
for.
too.
I would be. Oh, that would be.
Yes.
That would.
Major Capers, listen to his story.
I would be sitting there and I would spit on this congressman, senator, in a heartbeat.
Oh,
I
I've
would have
been
no problem.
standing
What you
right
going to do
there.
about it? What you going to do about it?
I'd have been
You
standing
did
at the
nothing
airport
about
door.
these bums spitting on our troops, our
Right.
warriors. What you going to do about this?
You know, I have a lot of issues with this whole story, but one that you just mentioned, and I think you said it, taxpayers' money.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So where does it get justified that these senators, these congressmen can fly to all these countries representing who?
Did he use his money?
No.
One, Rafer just
Tax
said
dollars.
tax dollars.
That's what I thought you said.
So tax dollars paid for him to go to El Salvador, right?
Yep. To the family of that murdered Maryland woman, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mama.
It's Robin.
I agree with you, and I don't understand the motives of your your senator in Maryland and others like that. I don't understand. I do not appreciate it. The Department of Homeland Security, by the way, has also weighed in on this, saying Garcia has a history of violence and was not the upstanding Maryland man the media has portrayed him. To point out to what you said, DHS shared court filings in which Mr. Garcia's wife, Jennifer Vasquez, sought a domestic violence restraining order against him, claiming he punched, scratched, and ripped off her shirts.
And the only way
He should be in jail.
the only way he got away with it was because she did not show up in court.
That's the way it happens, unfortunately.
It's
Hey,
terrible.
Robin, what's happening?
She's probably scared.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there listening to this. I've been following this story about the so-called Maryland man, and I'll be honest, that what is he, a senator from Maryland?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's as far as I'm concerned, he's a traitor.
Uh-huh.
He's a pure traitor. He shouldn't even be in politics. In fact, I don't even think he should be a citizen of these great states of America because of what the conduct. To fly down there to secure the release of an MS-13 person, not even acknowledge the victims of MS-13 violence in his own home state.
Uh-huh.
This is just, and people wonder why this country is gone to garbage. It's because of people like that, because of the left-wing liberal attacks and philosophy. It's sickening, to be honest with you. It really is. And that guy deserves to be there. He deserves to be locked up. He's not even a U.S. citizen, for goodness sake. We're going to try to secure his release. I mean, are you kidding me? It's just infuriating. And, I'm being very calm right now because I don't really want to say how I really feel about this scumbag who's a senator.
We'll share that later.
Well, it's ridiculous. And, I hear people say, well, let's make an argument. This person's got human rights. I mean, we've come into a fluffy side. That's what we turned into. we've been a fluffy society, so to speak, and that's using it mildly, over the last, 4 to 8 years? Or something like that?
At
Actually,
least.
4 years, and then, you got Trump who's the president who comes in here and stands for the American workers, he stands for the American people, and they fail to realize how many Democrats have left the party, have totally left the party. Why? Because the Democrats can't deliver. They couldn't deliver. And now everybody's getting on the MAGA train, so to speak. And rightly so. We've got a president that's not taking any guff from anybody. And it's about time that we have somebody. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Trump does, but I sure in the world agree with how he stands for the United States and how he stands for America, America first, and the citizens. And again, that senator, he needs to resign. He needs to renounce his citizenship. He needs to go move to El Salvador and live there for a while. That's what he needs.
It needs to be, as we used to say, it needs to be run out of town on a rail, tarred and feathered. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
He needs a good old-fashioned country behind the woodshed butt whip.
That's the one. We started out that way.
It's ridiculous, and these people in Trump's administration are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to follow his lead in terms of America first. What do people not get? America first. It's that simple. America first.
Well,
It didn't say El Salvador first, MS-13 first. It said America first.
I've got a partial answer, I think, Robin. This is Chris, but I think from reading here now, Hillary Clinton has said that President Trump was wrong in doing it, but the judge who said that this guy was not illegally in this country.
Why is he listed as an illegal immigrant? They call it,
Judge
or an
is
alien, as I
Taking a
call him.
lot of heat.
Hey, yes.
The judge said he could not be deported back to El Salvador.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Law enforcement guys that are out there every day, especially DHS, Homeland Security, whatever, all the ATF guys, DEA brothers and stuff like that are out there serving a search warrant, and they have a target, and they serve the search warrant, and they come across a couple other people by luck or by circumstance that happen to be wanted or notorious criminals or whatever it might be. They don't let them go. They arrest them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of it. You just don't release them. You just don't go, and you certainly don't fly to El Salvador on, our taxpayers' dime to try to secure his release. And, and I love the El Salvadorian president. He said,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. It's not my job.
Well, that's why this senator went and talked to the vice president of El Salvador.
Right. Yeah.
He knew he wasn't going to get nowhere.
What, you think he's going to get away with the VP? Duh.
It shows the hypocrisy. The Democrats are saying that Trump leans forward. He pushes his weight around. He's trying to be the big man on the block with the rest of the world. What do you think the senator's doing? He's doing the exact thing that he's talking about. He's down there pushing his weight around because he's an American citizen, because he's an American senator. Last time I checked, he's a man. He gets up with his underwear on just like every other man. And it's pathetic. It's just pathetic.
Don't do it, Rayford.
No, I'm trying not to. I'm really trying not to. But yes, I got a lot of comments and that would go even deeper.
Mm.
Yep. But anyway, I just wanted to pass that on.
I think personally, I think the U.S. House of Representatives Un-American Activities Organization ought to get started, and they can start with this senator.
Well, they need to.
Poster
Okay.
child.
They need to.
That's right. Okay. Thank you,
All right,
Robin.
have a good one.
Yeah, be
Thanks,
safe.
Robin.
They should have let you taken aback halfway through that flight. That door might open.
Bezos, that door can open.
I was just going to say that was that small millimeter of a second blackout that you saw. Is because he was
4 went up, 3 came down.
Four went up, 3 came
He would have a right to kiss the ground.
Well, what this one congressman
shark.
is saying. Congressman Maxwell Frost, he's a Democrat out of Florida. He had posted on X, and I went back to look it up. Kelmar Abrego Garcia was wrongly deported to El Salvador as part of the Trump administration's government funded is Theo kidnapping rampage. He is rotting away in a foreign prison where his life is in danger. We need to go there to make sure he's okay.
Bless his heart.
And the comments, oh, please make sure you're on the next flight, a one-way ticket. So now you're all for wife beaters. Have you read the police report of him abusing his wife?
Why don't you
And,
just why don't you just go down and bail him out and take him home with you?
And then people were saying, so you're going to go check on him in lieu of the new information that came out? How about apologizing? I mean, the people are hitting him hard on the comments.
Theo, where you been hiding? I haven't heard from you in a month.
Hey, deplorable. How are you?
We're fine. How are you, adorable?
Chris, how was your vacation?
Theo, it was wonderful, but the whole time I was going, man, I cannot believe I let down my friend. And that's between Theo and I, but
You let Theo down?
I did.
Oh, Theo, please forgive him. Whatever he did, he didn't mean it.
He did.
Is
He did.
Kelly going to be there tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Friday,
As far as we know, yes.
I think.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm going to send you another picture for the wall.
Oh, please, thank you.
you. Nice.
You'll have to move that reef a little higher, about 6-7 inches higher, because it'll fit right underneath that reef right there. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So Commissioner Robin, right? I'm really surprised at you. You're representing Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. That you're calling people an elected official, calling people scumbags. Come on, you're better than that. Okay. So instead of worrying about Garcia, why don't you worry about North Carolina, a welfare state, where they're going to cut Medicare for thousands of people? Worry about the Social Security that's going through some damage right now. Don't worry about Garcia. Worry about what's going to happen in the future. And if he thinks that that's America first, he's got another thing coming. Okay. All right. I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Take care, Theo.
Bye,
Thank you, Theo. Wonder what kind of sign he's got now.
Oh no, but I have
This is gonna be
something coming
interesting.
for a wall also, so we're going to have to
You have to get a bigger wall.
I've got something very nice coming for a wall. It's about the size of that red one, but turn it the other way. But it's
A vertical.
and it's something important.
You're going to move Betty Boop?
Betty.
We're just going to reorganize
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit, but
We can
we've
pick
got
it up
something
and over.
important. Yeah, we've got something important that we're going to put up there. So
We do.
hopefully, yeah.
More important than the jackass over here.
Yes.
Are you pointing at me?
No.
Just-
Oh, okay.
Pointing behind you.
Thank you.
all of it's important
On the
because
wall.
this is from our listeners and it means so much. Even the deplorable T-shirt
That
means
is-
a lot.
that is-
The T-shirt is kind of wilting there, isn't it? We're gonna have to put some starch in it.
We need to frame it. We need to put it in frame. That's what I ought to do.
No,
Anyway,
I got something else I got to frame because it was broken when it got here. It took a fall.
yeah, I took a fall. I
Yeah.
told you about what I discovered in my garage last night.
Yeah,
I still think something's gotten in my house.
you need cameras.
There's
in your
going to be
house.
a wild animal or something in my house somewhere.
Maybe it's one of your suitors.
No, they wouldn't have been trying to climb up on a top shelf in the garage.
Well,
Stuff has fallen.
you didn't take that doggie that we had in here, and maybe she got away and she's slipped into your house.
I wouldn't be here right now if they'd taken that dog and she'd gotten away. I'd be out looking for her.
No, I'm talking about she got away from wherever, and now she's
Oh,
in your house. Celery.
no, she would have been up in my lap all night. Yeah.
Never while you were gone.
No, something, I don't even know when it fell. It was a big piece of glass, tempered glass that fell from the very top and some pieces of sheetrock, and the glass did not break. But I walked in there yesterday afternoon and it's all laying on the floor, and I'm like, how'd that happen?
I had something similar like that.
I think a
To a
squirrel
shower.
or something got in and got up on the
Yeah,
shelf.
the shower door, tempered
Ugh.
glass just exploded in the bathroom.
Don't be taking showers
Here's
at
a-
Chris's house.
Oh, you need a not a
Man.
glass door. I was planning to put a glass door in mine. I'm changing my mind. Yeah, no,
Oh, that's not good.
I'll stick with the shower curtain. If it falls. It's not going to hurt me.
Yeah, somebody said, I asked an explanation. It said it was the heat of the water and the temperature and the
Yeah.
It's tempered glass.
But it was made for that.
That's what I thought.
All right, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard about some proposals to remove server tips and other monies, other income from the income tax requirements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not exactly sure how many tips are actually reported from servers, but there is that requirement. How much money would that cost the federal government? If they take away any income, that means taxes, from servers and some other folks that they want to make tax exempt, how much would that cost this country? They produce a lot of money, presumably. Where would they get the money to offset that? Well, the White House aides are very quietly floating a proposal within the House GOP that would raise the tax rate for people making more than $1 million a year
Well,
from 39% to 40%. So that would offset the cost of eliminating tips on overtime pay, on taxes on overtime pay, TAPs, and retiree Social Security.
but aren't we saving a whole lot of money now with what Doge has done?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Well,
We're supposed to be. The
and-
discussions were only preliminary so far, but at least that's what sources are saying. And the plan is one of many being talked about as our representatives, the Republicans in Congress, work on advancing Trump's agenda via the budget reconciliation process. What in a Sam Hill is a reconciliation process for the budget? Have you got it understood? I don't know.
Who can understand a budget?
Yeah. Trump and his White House have not yet taken a position on the matter, but the idea is being looked at by his aides and staff on Capitol Hill. He can deny any knowledge of this if he has to.
Right.
That's the way he does. The good news is that those who pay the least taxes will get a break if this happens. But his government must keep up and keep on working. And that costs money, lots of money. The plan has been to eliminate unnecessary government spending. I thought, what would most of us would call that waste that they're trying to eliminate, right? Save enough money to offset any tax reductions. I like the idea of reducing taxes. When you reduce income taxes on Social Security, which is something that's just really strange to me anyway, you live long enough to eventually collect Social Security, and then they tax you on it.
Mm-hmm.
That I
Should that
don't
be
agree
considered
with.
income?
Isn't that double taxing?
That's all. Okay, so you pay taxes on the money you've earned, right?
Yep.
And you pay taxes to spend the money that you've earned.
Mm-hmm.
Then you die and you have a death tax.
Yep.
You're depressing.
No, I wasn't trying to be depressing, but I mean, it's ridiculous on this taxing.
With all of the anti-Trump, you can call it rhetoric, I call it BS, lawsuits to prevent wasteful spending, even eliminate bloated government agencies, the actual cost will increase because of legal expenses. People are suing the administration left and right, which is costing money,
Mm-hmm.
which is all of the money that's being saved by Doge is going to be offset by all these legal expenses back and forth and back and forth. The country's still going to be spending a lot of wasted. If you want to sue, it comes out of your pocket.
Well, then tell Gavin Newsom that because he's
Absolutely.
the first one.
Absolutely. I'm telling him.
He
Cousin
is
Gavin.
suing. Yeah,
Cousin Gavin, get off the pot.
he is doing that. But
Pick up the tab out of your own pocket.
you remember your story of work and pushing the tree
Yep.
and not accomplishing anything?
Yep.
That's what the budget reconciliation will be because somebody will introduce a bill and it will sit there
they're gonna
and
get-
it will sit
And they're
there.
going to get paid for it.
Of course.
And nothing's going to happen.
It'll sit there as long as the bill for daylight savings time.
A waste of computer time, a waste of all of the aides that you're going to have, your assistants up there who the people pay for, you don't pay for them. all of this, the paperwork.
Mhm.
How much money does it cost to introduce? By the time a bill is introduced into a committee for discussion, how much money has been spent on that? And how much of that money, let's say there's $1 billion a year, it's much more than that. It's $1 billion a year to introduce all these bills to be studied in committees, and they don't ever come out of committee. That's just, you know what, down the drain.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what that is. How much money? That's what I challenge somebody. If we had a reporter worth of his salt, her salt, it's easy to find. All of this is basic information. You can get the breakdown on how much any bill will cost just to make it to the committee, and what are the percentage of those bills that come out of committee and are voted on, and the majority says yes. How many bills that are introduced into committee, not before the whole Senate or the House, how many that end up in committee? They've already spent the money on them
That's where they
there.
will sit.
And they sit there and they sit there and they sit there until they die.
What they do is the committee meets and they'll read the bill and they'll say, we need to change the wording from
Send
this
it
to
back.
that. So they'll rewrite it. It goes back to the committee and it'll sit there for months and months until it goes elsewhere.
And then
And then
it's-
somebody else is going to want to change something.
And then I will bet that the majority of them, except for I think this bill should require that all needles be sterilized before they're used by doctors and nurses. That will pass not even unanimously in the House or Senate. You know that, right?
Yep.
Right.
But it will pass. Because who would vote against it? An idiot.
There's just so much to presenting
What
a
purpose
bill.
does it serve when you do that? That's not work. That is just sitting there wasting my time and money.
Well,
Yeah.
got a
And
song
I'm an
for
old
it.
guy and I'm tired of it.
All right, go right with it, Chris.
I got a song
gonna
for
sing?
it. Billy, no, I'm not going to do. Wouldn't
Oh,
wouldn't insult Billy Preston, but he had a song that's appropriate for this.
Okay.
Will it go round in circles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Will it go around in circles
Uh,
until it just falls off? It's a merry-go-round. And sooner or later, people start dropping off. The bills drop off. They go nowhere. They're finally either trashed or put into some big box somewhere in the sky. The cloud. I wonder how many of these bills are in the cloud up there, never to see the light of day.
It's time
Is
to
anybody
find-
worried? Does anybody even think about that? We got 435 congressmen who spend their days writing bills.
I'm not sure that they're writing them.
Somebody's writing them
Somebody, you're right. Somebody's writing them. They're
under their name.
You know, they have staff that put a lot of that stuff together for them, but they get, and don't think it's just all them. They have constituents, like people like you, me, Chris, that come up with a thing like, I think we really should consider.
But it has to have a congressman's signature or a senator's
But
signature.
we take it to them, and if it has any validity to it, any worth to it, our congressman, our representative, our senator may say, let me work on that.
Yeah,
And he
that's
puts
the
his
point.
committee
Let
in
me
there.
work on it. But they get the ideas from somebody. They
But-
don't come up with them on their own.
I'm just saying that as a citizen, as a taxpayer, as a voter, if you've got something that you think is worthwhile and important,
Well, I've got something.
don't hesitate.
Right.
Don't hesitate to put it in words.
What's irritating is one of our really good friends, an author, a hero, a survivor of the Vietnam War, and a particular battle that lasted for 30 freaking
Yes.
days, where pretty much everybody of any rank was killed, as were a lot of other Marines. It's called the Tet Offensive, the Battle of Hue City. And there's a guy there who threw himself on a hand grenade, who should get an award, right? No. Other people who have done that in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Marines and others who have thrown themselves on grenades to protect they've been awarded Medal of Honor. There's one guy
You're going to be started on that.
There's one guy that the folks on the honor board, the folks who make these awards, they've been given all of the information, and they've denied it number of times. Our congressman knows about it. He's been given to it. Here's why one of the idiots up there told the gentleman that I'm referring to here, our friend, here's what he told him. Well, he threw himself on the grenade, but he lived. He saved all those other people, but he didn't die. So that doesn't merit him getting the award.
Did he get a Purple Heart?
I don't know.
Well, I would think
People get a Purple Heart for getting their finger stuck.
but I would think that
During
would
combat.
be a step on up to getting the other. I mean,
Anyway,
That is,
and we have, this has been sent to aides for a congressman. I don't know whether the congressman has ever seen it or not. I've got the copy of it. It ain't over. And this guy, there's two elements to this, and it was appealed to a higher level than the initial guy that was in charge. But the initial guy was friends with the guys on the appeal board. And he said, there's nothing to this. And they said, okay. Now,
I don't get it.
I don't know.
I've called it, and my friend said, you labeled it right. We know what stolen valor is in somewhere. This is stolen valor,
Yes,
but it's stolen by
The
our
government.
armed forces, the people at the top who make these decisions. They stole the valor from this hero. Now, get off your soapbox, Brown, and do something. I'm starting, and it ain't going to be pretty because I'm not as distinguished or as polite as this other gentleman is. And he is pretty aggressive. I mean, this guy put a bunch of cops in prison because they were crooked. He worked undercover. He put mobsters in prison. So he can be a very assertive individual. I'm a meaner person than he has ever thought about being because he did it by the book.
I just,
Robin is probably saying, "Oh Lord."
we'll back you.
Ah.
I mean, you don't need our backing. But I don't think you need our backing. Nope. I just don't understand. There's a lot of things I don't understand.
And every congressman comes up for a re-election if he or she decides to rerun again every 2 years. They have to get the majority of the vote every 2 years. And if there's an obstacle standing in the way of this and they don't go any further, you know what?
I will tell you, last run,
It could hit the
he
fan.
won by 77%. So, but I don't think anybody's really going to be able to take him out.
Huh.
Not with what I've seen so far that's talking about running.
Well,
I'm eligible.
Go for it. See, it's running as an unaffiliated. It will get you anywhere.
Oh, I would run as a Republican.
I had a friend of mine.
You would change over just to do that?
Uh-huh.
But see, that would go against you too.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. Democrats would come after, well, he was unaffiliated, but he's running as a Republican
I know a
because,
Democrat who was the district attorney and is still the district attorney is he's a Republican.
well, I
I
don't
knew
care
I
about
knew a
that.
commissioner and I knew a state senator here who were both Democrats and they changed over and they were elected.
I'm
as
just saying
Republicans.
that there would be a lot of, because I remember when a certain sheriff was Democrat for all
Well,
the years.
he was on his way
He
out.
changed over. This is before he was on his way out. And I remember the ridicule that he got, but
Wow.
he stayed as sheriff. He's a good guy.
So, is it your belief? Because it's mine. You got to have money to be a politician.
You have to
You
have
have to
lots of money.
That's mine.
I once told somebody that
Yeah.
said that they were going to run against our current U.S. congressman.
Mhm.
And I said, you need at least about $1 million in the bank right now
Yeah.
to even consider it. And I said, and you need to get out and hit the streets and And I frankly told him, there's no way you're going to beat him. You're going to waste your money and your time.
You and other political observers have said that, and I have pointed out cases time and again and again and again where people have spent 1/3 the amount of money as a challenger
Mhm.
that the incumbent spent. And guess who walked away with it?
Well, I'm
Because they had a
saying
message.
this.
They had a message. They weren't just the same old, oh, I just want to be the governor or the president or the whoever because,
Very few, but there has been
but
some.
there will be cases.
But there will be cases, yes. But I'm talking about trying to take out an incumbent
Yeah.
Mhm.
who
They've
already
done it.
has assignments and seats and different roles within the U.S. Congress and is well liked, has always won his reelection by a high percentage. You're going to have big, big money because as soon as you start throwing money out there, you're going to have special interest groups, PACs, political action committees that are going to say to the current congressman, here's a check.
Yeah, he's
Go
for sale.
take out radio
If that-
advertising.
if that's the case,
Go
then
take out mailers.
if that's the case, then he is for sale.
No, that's just the way it works, Rafer. It works that way.
It's for sale.
No, well, any job's for self per se, but I'm just saying if you are an elected official, let's just say Tom
I
Tillis.
do not think that the one you're talking about has the full information, the full story on this whole case.
I don't think so either.
And I think the problem is that sometimes our elected officials put too much faith in those aides up there on the White House. They put too much faith in them to do the right thing. Let's take what was the guy that just got the boot from the Department of Defense from Hegseth's buddy?
Yeah, third one now.
I threw him under the bus in a heartbeat, and he should have because he was a leak. But you know what? When you have a problem, you trusted an individual, and then you find out that they're not doing what you wanted them to do. Then it's up to you to get rid of them.
Right.
You got it?
Right. Yeah.
And they got rid of him.
Okay. So you mentioned Tom Tillis.
Yes.
Okay. He's worth, I think, $9 million.
He has built a reputation. There's people that don't like him, but there's people who do like him. He's built a huge reputation. He's built a reputation amongst congressmen and senators there in the U.S. government. And he's been there for a while. It's very, very hard from what I've seen to take out an incumbent like that unless he's been a pure disaster.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
See, so that's what I'm saying. Unless you've been a pure, but look what happened to what was our boy that's in Florida now that came from North Carolina. I know his name like I know your name. The one in the wheelchair. What's his name? He was a U.S. representative here. Oh my gosh, I know his name like I know.
Sticking his hole. I have no idea who she's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, you know who
My
I'm
boy
talking
in Florida?
about. Let me look it up real quick because my mind. But
before you're looking it up, this our congressman, in my opinion, has done a marvelous job.
oh yes,
he
I think so
continues to do a
too.
marvelous job.
Madison Cawthorn.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, he had baggage that nobody knew
But
about.
real quick, what I'm saying is he started off being the golden child. And then, he won big when he won his first term. But then everything started going downhill with a lot of the stuff that he was doing. He lost his position himself by his actions. But what I'm saying is you may like Tom Tillis, you may not like Tom Tillis, but he's built that reputation. So has Congressman Murphy. It's going to be very hard for anyone to come along and take them out.
The longer they're in office, the more people that will dislike them.
Look how much
The
grief.
exception to that I know of is Walter Jones.
I was just going to say, look how much grief Walter Jones took. People every year saying,
But they
we're
voted for
taking
him.
him out, but they voted for him. Yep. He was always right up there.
He's the exception. It didn't matter what he did; people were still going to vote for him,
Right.
Because they were comfortable with him. He was like a pair of old shoes. You know what? You
Yeah.
can wear them every day.
And I'm not saying they cannot absolutely be taken out, but it's got to be something that they've done that's really hurt them bad.
Here's my point: there's no reason to take out somebody like that who's doing a
Right.
great job.
Right.
But there is a reason to make sure that this person is getting the correct information, and is actually looking at some of this stuff. I know for a fact that this gentleman, his valor was stolen. And
Right.
because of the connivings between two different groups, that's the criminal element here.
Right.
It is a criminal element as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
This dude and this dude, they're at the top of on the two different boards. They should both be gone.
Right.
They should both be indicted,
Well, I know
if
who I
nothing
can.
else.
I know somebody that I'll call this. Well, I'm gonna leave a message because I
But
think
sometimes
they're on vacation.
when certain individuals only get page 1 or page 2, what was Nancy's famous quote? We had to pass this thing before we read it. And then we had Obamacare. We got to pass it before we read it. There's too many pages there for me to read. So let's just pass it.
Politics.
Or just don't pass it. Let's just ignore it, make it go away. We haven't even read it, but both sides were wrong in that case.
Right.
Neither side had read Obamacare. Democrats were lucky; they had the majority at that time, barely, but they had the majority.
I don't know of one person that has called this show, and I don't know any one of us who has ever sat down and read a bill front to back.
I have, but it's been decades.
Not
ago.
unless it was 2 or 3 pages, but these bills that come out, they're
No,
900
those-
something. And the budgets, have any of us ever sat down and read the
You
entire
can't.
budget?
You can't. It would take you and an
Say-
accountant a year to go through the Onslow
I
County
tried to
budget.
read the Onslow County one, and I got about halfway through, and I'll say,
First of
yeah,
all,
it looks good.
First of all, everything that I see in the
Nope.
Onslow County budget, because I did that in New Hampshire
Right.
County.
Mhm.
Everything that I saw in there, I wanted to go and investigate to verify. But how can I do that as one individual? You cannot. It would take a group of individuals from Onslow County or any other county to just go over your county budget. And each and every one of you look at it together as a group, not as a board, but as a group of citizens, Republicans, me, and Democrats, all alike, people who don't even vote. Everybody, because they're all represented by these tax dollars that are being spent in this budget, right?
Right.
They're paying for it whether they vote or not.
Right.
Y'all don't understand that. You need to get off the pot and vote.
Right.
I don't care how you vote, but you need to get off the pot and let your voices be heard. That's the only way they're going to listen to you. But if they had a big group, they did have it one time here in Onslow County, and they met right in here years ago, a couple of decades ago, maybe 3 decades ago. And they met it here regularly. And then they would take a look at the individual elements of a budget and the individual elements of county meetings and city council meetings. And they would break it up, and everybody was assigned to take a look at specific issues and investigate them and report back.
Well, I read the county budget. I started to read the state budget. And
Bless you. Bless
Bless
you.
your heart.
forget it.
I mean, we
See.
hear bits and pieces about each budget, highlights, which I appreciate that.
But did you find anything suspicious there that you would like to know more information about?
In the county?
You knew everything there.
I didn't know it until I read it. Then
Uh-huh.
once I read it,
It was clear.
it was clear.
I got halfway
But-
through it. I feel very confident with what I've read.
Well, kudos to Onslow because
you
New
know,
Hanover was not that way.
I'm not going to sit
I
there
had
and say
questions.
the county commissioners did this or they voted on that because I've not read the entire budget. And if there was a question that I had, I've not called and asked anybody that. So why do I have the right to criticize?
But the state budget, and you're right, it's all about money.
Mhm.
No,
There was one in a budget 2 or 3 years ago, and that's when I stopped looking at it, where they were building buildings to hold hay.
Yeah.
That was one of the pet projects of
Well, you know, the state auditor just
the
did a big audit.
state.
the state. Yes.
Hay for what?
Hey,
Hay.
hey,
Hay for jackasses or
Yeah, for animals.
hey, what?
so they
Hay for animals.
they were building buildings to hold hay.
Yep.
For what animals? Okay.
This congressman or senator's special project for his area.
Do we have state-owned jackasses? I mean, four-legged jack. Do we have any state-owned four-legged jackasses?
Yeah, there's
I
a
haven't
few
seen-
everywhere.
I have not
they
seen
say.
any hitching rails in Raleigh at the state capitol in a long time.
Look up the story on the state audit that was just done by our new state auditor and read some of the waste he found.
That's why I stopped.
Yes. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Every county, especially the western part of the state.
Right. I can't, like I said, I cannot say anything about on a county level, on a city level, because I've never delved into it. I know that we're doing well in the county and we're doing well in the city. And to me, that's a great.
I know that the
headline.
bottom line in both of them are looking good. Okay.
Right,
The bottom
yes.
line. But there's a lot. Okay. So the bottom line is looking good right now. Is there anything in there that would be deemed ridiculous? Are we buying any $500 hammers?
Maybe
or
to you
toilet
or
seats?
me. Right.
You understand? I
Right.
don't care if it's one, then that's one too many.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to make sure that that's not happening. The county commissioners, all 7 of them,
Yes.
and the county manager and the assistant county manager and those underneath the county manager, they do not have the time to look at all of the budgets and every line item and investigate what is put down there. They look at the bottom line and make sure it looks good on the surface. If there's a question, then they may go back and pick some items and, just cherry pick some stuff and take a look. Oh, yeah, that fits. That's no problem.
Well, I have faith in our county commissioners and our
Well, I
county
do too.
manager and our leaders,
I do
their
too.
department heads.
But they only know what they are given.
Right. But that's where you have to start at your department level, your department head. And then they submit that. And then, there's all these workshops and stuff that are created. I have no complaints right now with the county or the city. I have no complaints.
I inherited a
they're all
budget
doing
in a private enterprise, right?
Right.
And it came time for me to prepare the budget after I took over, right?
Right.
I'm looking, why is this department, a news department, spending money, thousands of dollars every year? It says videotape.
I remember that story you told.
When did we ever buy any videotape?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, it was in the mid-90s the last time.
Right.
Somewhere around 2003, 4, there were no videotapes that were purchased for that department. It was all on these things, computers. But they were still and the funny thing, the tragic thing was that not only did the department head submit this budget, the manager approved it, and then the corporate idiots approved it. And they put money, $3,000 a year in for videotape for what?
The question is, was it spent?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
because when you get this budget,
Who got
and
that
as
check?
long as you I could just see the news director. I need some money here. This $3,000. I'm not going to spend it, but I need some money to go over here into this account because I'm overspending. Let me just move this over here, and they can do it midstream.
I used to do that with
As
hours.
long as the bottom line adds up, you're good.
I said I used to do that with hours spent at the post office.
So, if they do it in one stupid little department
Mhm.
and one stupid little TV station, imagine what happens at the government levels.
Oh yeah.
Because those are nothing but a bunch of con men.
I'm
put
not
in
saying there's something if you read the entire budget saying why are we spending money for that,
there.
but
Yeah, buddy.
that's your opinion, that's your thought. But I got halfway through it, Chris. I couldn't. I just got too late. But it's so far.
We need oversight. We need people looking at things like this that have absolutely nothing
Chris
to do
did.
with the government.
Chris didn't find it. What'd you find? What'd you find?
I didn't find anything that stood out that was misappropriated or misspent.
Did you do line items
I looked at them, yes,
for each department's expenditure?
as the best as it's explained when you look it up online.
How about there's a relatively new outboard motor assigned to a particular division that takes care of little critters and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's a fairly new outboard motor, but it was having some problems. It wouldn't run. So let's sell it. And they sold it I'd bid for like $25 to somebody who worked there.
I wish I.
And they took it down to another place that I know of, and it was repaired. It cost about $75 to repair it, but they spent $5,000 on a new replacement motor. Now, you tell me if there is not some screw up somewhere, but nobody could catch it, nobody saw it, nobody knew the difference. All they did was take the word of somebody else and somebody within the county bought it.
Good
You
for
want to talk about, you
him.
want to talk about some cars? No, you don't, because it happens. I can tell you about another county. Yeah, the ABC board. They earmarked. They bought. They would buy. You ready? They would buy a brand new truck.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about buying
And
liquor.
at the end of the year, time for budget, they would sell that to buy another new truck. But somebody who worked for the organization, the son of the guy in charge of the ABC board in New Hanover County at that time, who finally went to jail, he sold it to his son. His son was the only bidder on it, and he got it. And by the way, they took it over to the car dealership to have it completely serviced
Good Lord.
and put new tires on it before he sold it to his son. Now, is there anything else that you want to know?
Well, have they
Going
changed
to New
that
Hanover
since?
County.
Well, you think it's only New Hanover County? New Hanover County got caught. You know how New Hanover County got caught? By the media. When the media actually did things. The guy, I actually came up to his trial because he couldn't get a fair trial in New Hanover County. He was tried in Onslow County Superior Court. Okay, it's time to go. And he was convicted.
Oh, Lord.
It's been a fun show.
Well, if anything, everyone's going to be sitting at home reading the budget tonight.
I would encourage
There you go.
everybody to pick one portion of any budget
Right.
and look at it with a fine-tooth comb.
You take the first 50, I'll take the second 50.
You probably would be absolutely surprised and scared.
With what I've read already, I just found it extremely boring. I didn't see
That's the
nothing.
problem.
Nothing jumped out at me. I
That's
was like,
the reason lawyers have a great thing when they start filing suits against each other. I'm going to overwhelm him with so much paperwork. He'll settle
motions,
right now.
Yeah.
motions
Paperwork,
before a
paperwork, and
trial.
paperwork. Have you ever seen them
crazy.
bring in cases and cases and
Oh,
cases
yeah.
and boxes?
Yeah, I'm watching
Of
one
stuff.
right now that's like that.
That's the problem. Who's going to want to read it? Nobody. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow on a Friday. Fabulous Friday it will be. A great weather day.
Yeah, red shirt day.
Thank
Wear
you,
your red
sir.
tomorrow.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
See what you get into.
I love it.
And yeah. Okay, you're live and local Real Talk, where we're always awake, never woke, and we'll see you at 7 on Friday. Bye, y'all.